प्रॉब्लम है ये मैक का, मैक में को आई एम नॉट यूज्ड टू
Mac
इट।
is definitely. Yeah.
मेरे बेटे ने पीछे पढ़ पढ़ के नो यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू यूज विंडोज एनीमोर नाउ,
Right.
और मेरे लिए प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट कर दिया। विंडोज पे तो इतने दिन से वी हैव यूज्ड टू इट नाउ, इतना वो हो गया है।
No, it is better. Visibility is clear. Visibility is very clear, and your voice is also quite audible. Better than what we heard you next time.
You know, last week what happened, I was to deliver a talk at University of Rajasthan.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I was joining from my home.
Okay.
I didn't had any technical person nearby जो उसको कुछ कर देता. They tried their level best मुझे बताने के लिए कि that was the first day I bought it.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
तो हार के मुझे उनको शेयर करना पड़ा अपना PPT.
No, no, but our technical expert is here. Mazhar is here. Technical expert is here. Normally, he will handle remotely if there is any issue.
Abhi normally Shazib handles it because Shazib is he also has Mac, na.
Okay. Okay.
So I always take help from him.
Shazib,
The
right,
rest
right,
of the students they don't, or researchers they don't have Mac.
Right.
So अभी रूपक was asking गुरुवन किसी को Mac का knowledge है तो बताओ। पासवर्ड अच्छा पता है क्या, आईफोन और इसमें भी बहुत फर्क है। आईफोन में आप अपना मेल का पासवर्ड वगैरह इजीली सेटिंग में जाके चेंज कर सकते हैं। इसमें वो इंटरनेट ऑप्शंस में जाओ, उसके बाद देखो वो इंटरनेट ऑप्शंस का तो मुझे ध्यान ही नहीं आया था। आई वाज लुकिंग फॉर मेल।
Okay.
The password I was not able to change. That somehow it took me 15 minutes almost.
Oh, right.
Actually बोला गया था फोन और ये मैक का सिस्टम सेम है, मुझे लग रहा है उसमें भी डिफरेंस है।
Okay. So can we start now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, dear participants, I think number is going slowly, gradually it is going up. So let me introduce our resource person, Professor Preeti Ma'am. She is professor from the Department of Library Information Science, Department of Library Science, Panjab University, Chandigarh, and she has completed her MA English, MLISc, and completed PhD long back. And she has a specialization in library management, library cataloging, reference and information sources, social science information system, IT application to library information centers, information storage and retrieval, information seeking behavior, bibliometrics and scientometrics, altometrics, and social media and libraries. And she has been awarded with SP Narang Research Promotion Award in 2018, then Rotary International Group Study Exchange Fellow 2001, and definitely JRF in 1986. So I think that JRF and UGC started recently that time. So it is probably Madam will be from the first or the second batch when the UGC started this NET and JRF. And she is member of ILA, ITLISc, and as administrative position is concerned, she has been chairperson from 98 to 2001, 2012 to 2015, and then 2018 to 2021. And she has the additional charge of University Librarian also from 2009 to 2010. And she has been fellow Panjab University Senate from 2012 to 2016. And she has been member of Panjab University Syndicate in 2014. She has been member of Board of Finance, Panjab University Chandigarh 2013. Member Punjab University Academy Council 2012 onwards. Member of various committees of PU from time to time. And on the panel of UGC as well as UPSC. And she has been member of BOS, BOC, RDC, and other panel of various universities. So surprising is the Google Citation Index, that is 983. That record is on the 16th August 2022. So probably by this time she must have crossed 1000. I'm sure about it. H index is 16, Scopus citation is 265, and H index is 9. And so far she has guided about 14 PhDs, including mine. I was the second scholar under her, and she has so far finished 14, and ongoing is probably 8 PhDs. They are ongoing, and she has even written 2 books and research papers. It is up to 61. I can see 61 research papers, and research papers published in the national journals. That is somewhere around 42, and the book chapters they are around 14. Papers in the conference proceedings, that is 27. So with this huge profile and a huge citation index, I'm really surprised. I know you all will be benefited by Madam's that experience and expertise. And today she will be speaking on scholarly communication do's and don'ts. So I hope it will be useful for everyone, those who are involved in researchers and those who are doing some research and writing some scholarly articles. It will be fairly useful for everyone. With these words, I invite you, Professor Madam Preeti Mahajan, to interact with our audience. And the number is 77 now. It will go up to 90. So, so that is a good number. And let me tell you that the participants we have across India, we have a good number of participants from the northeast, north, exclusively north, means from Kashmir to Kerala, and Maharashtra and Karnataka. So, good number of participants are there, and you will find them very scholarly, and they will be disciplined also. They will listen to you quietly, and later on they will have the interaction with you in the later part. So please, ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Professor Raza. Thank you very much for the kind words you've spoken about me. I'm really happy to be, and I'm happy that you were my student and you're doing good. At the very outset, I would like to thank the Aligarh Muslim University, HRDC, and the Department of Library Information Science, especially Professor Raza, for inviting me here to deliver a talk on scholarly communication. What you have to keep in mind, some do's and don'ts. Professor Raza, I hope I can talk only in English, or you want me to be bilingual?
Better in English, because most of the participants.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
We have from South. We are from South
and other places.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to know, because at some places they want the lecture to be in bilingual form. Anyway, I'm sure that most of the participants must be writing some papers in any form, in the form of book chapters or research articles, etc. Some of you must have done the research PhD thesis also, they might have written. So scholarly communication is something which you write as in a form of, say, a scholarly paper, or even a book, or any other review article, etc. also. So since we are all engaged in scholarly communication process, what should we keep in mind as to what we should do and what we should avoid? On that topic I'll be talking of. So first of all, I'll be talking about the research process. Now, what is a research process? Because without doing the research, you will not be able to produce the scholarly publications. So first is, during the research process, you explore the background, you decide about the topic, then you try to find out what all are available on that particular topic. You evaluate those sources to find out which sources you can use in your research work. Then you use and cite them, and ultimately you create a new knowledge in the form of a scholarly communication. Now, as far as scholarly communication is concerned, it is a system through which the research and the scholarship is created, evaluated, distributed, and preserved. All the four. First is the creation, then it's evaluation as to what you have written, is it worth or not, then it is distribution by means of, say, articles or books, etc. And then ultimately it is preserved in the libraries for use later on. Okay. It includes both the traditional and formal type of publications, such as scholarly journal articles, scholarly chapters or scholarly books, single volume or multi-volume, in the conference proceeding. These are only a few examples. It also includes continually emerging publications like our working papers, blogs, vlogs, etc. And who all are concerned or included in the scholarly communication cycle. First is the author, publisher, libraries, and users, because authors write that paper or whatever type of document it is then published, acquired by the libraries, and ultimately the users would be using it in their further research. Now, what are the stages of scholarly communication? There are three basic stages. First is the pre-publication, when you carry out the writing process. Second is the publication stage, which is the process of publication of that scholarly document in the journals, books, etc. Third is the post-publication. Post-publication is when you share it with your colleagues, it is sent to the library, etc. So ultimately, the aim is to find your research impact. So let's talk about the first three, the pre-publication stage. Here we decide the topic of the research. We consult the literature on that particular topic. Then we carry out the experimentation, survey, whatever the case may be. And ultimately, we write the research ethically. Ethically is important. I'll be talking about this ethical thing later on. So this is the pre-publication stage, what we have to keep in mind. Then, as I said, we have to carry out the literature search, etc. Whatever is available, we try to find out the primary sources of information, the secondary sources of information, and the tertiary sources of information. Primary sources, as we all know, they provide the first-hand information on research, and these are published first, followed by the secondary sources, which provide the second-hand information. Like the primary sources could be the journals, secondary sources could be the databases, which inform you about what all has been written in the primary sources, and tertiary sources are the last ones to appear, which help us in finding out what secondary and what primary sources have been published and where those can be located. So primary sources, as I said, they provide the original research of a research. For example, a PhD thesis is a primary source because till that time, the information is not available elsewhere. And secondary sources, it's a description or summary, like as I said, abstracting services. And tertiary sources, they consist of the books and articles which are based on the secondary sources, that is on the research of others. Now, earlier, the scientific publications in the 17th century, for example, was in case of a journal, which was in the printed form. This Philosophical Transactions of the Royal Society was the first one to appear. And then we have the books also where such scholarly information is published. And now we have the electronic or online resources also, including our full text databases like Science Direct, JSTOR, LexisNexis, etc. Or apart from the full text databases, we have the bibliographic databases. I've given some example like historical abstracts, social science abstracts, physics abstracts, etc. And there may be some government or non-government organizations' website also, which provides us information, which help us in writing that paper, a scholarly paper. Now, apart from the government websites, we have the organizations, blogs, news groups also. Apart from the written thing, we also have the open access material. And now this is given by, this was written in a blog. It says that the peer-reviewed articles can even be in the form of tweets and blog posts, and they are more open, more fluid, and easily read by wider audiences. So it is not that we write in journal only or we write a book only. Now, blogging is very important, and for that matter, like we have the ResearchGate and other social networking site also where information is provided about our publications. Now, whatever sources we see, primary, secondary, or tertiary, as I said in the earlier slides, we have to evaluate. We have to find out that whether the documents which we are going through for carrying out our research is worth using in our work or not. So it is extremely important to evaluate the quality of the sources we use, because if the quality of the source we use is not good, it will really impact our publication also. So evaluate the sources themselves and evaluate the content in those sources, both the evaluation. So when we say evaluating the sources, we have to see who's the publisher, who's the author, what are the affiliation of that author, the author's credentials, the sources or the references which have been used, who's the audience of that work, then whether it is biased or not, how many, what kind of citations have been provided, and what is the overall publication process to find out the value or worthiness of that source which we would be consulting. When we talk of the content evaluation, we have to find out whether the content which is given in that source, which we are consulting for writing our research work, whether it is credible, whether it is relevant to your research work, whether it is current, whether it is accurate, reasonable, reliable, objective, etc. If it is not credible, it is not relevant, it is not reasonable, then one should avoid using that source for one's later publication. Now, when we say we have decided about the topic, when we say we have gone through the documents and we have evaluated them, and now we would like to use them in our publication. Now, what is this publication? It's a piece of academic writing which is based on the original research carried out by a researcher on a particular topic, along with the analysis and interpretation of the research finding. That we carry out the research, which is original, On a particular topic, we find out we get the data, we do the analysis, and then we interpret the findings of that research. Now, the purpose of research publication is to make the unknown things known to others. That is communicating your new scientific findings to others. And normally, all the research publications, whether it's a book or a journal article, etc., they contain title, author, keywords, abstract, introduction, discussion, conclusion, and references. So, research writing process is: first, a problem is identified, literature search is carried out, inferences are done, we identify the gaps, the data is collected, analyzed, conclusions are drawn, and then ultimately it is incorporated into the scientific paper. Now, what is the structure of the research writing? Rudyard Kipling, an important English author, he said, I keep 6 honest serving men with me who always taught me what I knew. Their names are what, where, when, how, why, and who. So these 6 honest serving men are important for the scholarly communication. When you are carrying out the research, when you are writing your research reports or research results, that is, what was the topic, where you found the information, when it was conducted, how you conducted it, why did you conduct it, and who had cited them or who carried out that research. Who could be both the thing, the person who has carried out and the persons who have been cited. So the structure of the research paper is the IMRAD formation is very important. It says introduction, methods, results, and discussion. In a research paper, you must write the introduction. That is why your research is important. You describe the problem and the situation that motivated you to carry out that research. This will be a part of the introduction. Then what methods you adopted, what was the population, what was the sample size, what method did you adopt, what equipment did you use in carrying out that research. That is a must. Then the results, actual results, and without any comments, and comments would come into the discussion part where you would summarize the main findings along with the comments and your connection with any other research work, your limitations, etc. Now, in case of the research publication, you also have to give the abstract, that is, what was your aim, methodology, results, and findings in one short paragraph. Introduction, giving the overall purpose, defining the research questions, giving the background of relevant theory in practice. Then the third important part is the literature review, which is summarizing the conclusion of others and highlighting any main inferences, main issues, main controversies, and of course, the literature gaps also. And the methodology, which explains and justifies the method which is used for data collection and analysis. Then is the results parts, the findings in an orderly manner, proper order manner. And discussion is the comments on the findings or discussions on the trends. Conclusion and the references and the appendices, if the publisher wants the questionnaire, etc., to be appended, that also is given. That also is a part of the scholarly communication, whether it is a book or whether it is a journal article. Now, coming to the citation. Citation is important because you just can't use other person's words in your scholarly publications. So while citing or referencing, you have to see whether you'll be using the MLA style, APA style, etc., etc. Now, when you write the research findings, etc., or when you are writing the manuscript of your paper or book, remember the research ethics. You must keep the ethics in mind because it has to be an ethical writing. Otherwise, the problem is there ultimately later on. What are the research ethics now? These are the set of principles that distinguish between acceptable behavior and unacceptable behavior. What is acceptable is fine. What is not acceptable is not required. Then it maintains scientific integrity and credibility. If you are good enough, acceptable behavior is there in case of research ethics, then you are credible and your integrity is maintained. It governs the standards of the conducts for scientific researchers, and it is important to adhere to this research ethics in order to protect your dignity, your right, and the welfare of the research participants also. Otherwise, if you don't adhere to this, it will lead to scientific misconduct. Now, where you have to keep in mind these research ethics, these are the domains. First is you have to be ethical in collection of data, in use of data, in interpretation of the data. Then you have to be ethical in informing the methods for reporting and reviewing the research plans and findings, whatever they are. Then in relationship amongst researchers with one another, in relationship with researchers and those that will be affected by the research, that means on whom the results will be applicable ultimately, and means for responding to understanding disputes or misconduct. So these are some of the domains of research ethics which you have to keep in mind. Now, as I said, it will be called scientific misconduct if you don't adhere to these ethical principles. So what is this scientific misconduct? It's a violation of the standard code of scholarly conduct and ethical behavior in scientific publication, which may include fabrication, falsification, plagiarism, slimy slicing, duplicate publication or duplicate submission, etc. It may occur, as I earlier said in the earlier slide, during data generation, during data recording, during your publication, or even your dissemination, etc. Of course, it does not include unintentional errors. That is, intentional if it is a misconduct. If I am myself not aware of anything which I have done, it is unintentional error, and there may be differences of opinion also, but in case even this happens, I have to correct it later on. So what are these? In fact, these are called three sins: fabrication, falsification, plagiarism. These are called three sins of research, which are normally conducted by the people, keeping in mind the research ethics. What is fabrication? Fabrication is the making of the data of result. Which the data which is not there, you have simply made it on your own. The results which are not there, you have simply made it on your own. So it is construction or addition of data. So you may construct some data which doesn't exist, or you may add something new to it, which is actually not your data after getting the research done. You may, in case of observations or even characterizations which never occurred during the survey or the experiment or whatever the method was, while gathering the data or running of experiment. And this is, in fact, the second most form of scientific misconduct. First, I'll tell you later. This is the second most common form. Falsification. Falsification is alteration of the observed results of a scientific experiment to support claims, hypotheses, other data, etc. Falsification would be, for example, there was some hypothesis of mine, for example, which I wanted to see in favor, but the results which I have got after the survey, they are against that hypothesis. Now, what some people do is that they would alter the results so that their hypotheses are met with. If they want to agree, they'll change the results so that it agrees with the hypothesis. If they want to go against the hypothesis, they don't want to agree with it, they will change it as well. So this is a sin of scientific misconduct. Okay, this is not to be done. So manipulating the research material, one was the data. Second is you simply manipulate the research material. You have not used that research material, but you say that, no, I have used this research material, or I'll say that I've used this equipment, whereas in actuality, I have not used that equipment. Or even the process also, I have not used, but I say I have used it. Or changing or omitting data or results such that the research is not accurately represented in the research record. So you are playing with the data or the process or equipment to see that their hypotheses are okay or not. This is called falsification. It is the commonly used form of scientific misconduct for adjusting the results as per hypothesis. plagiarism. This is in fact the first form, which is this is the first sin which is used by a number of researchers, etc. This is the most frequent type of research misconduct and a major breach of ethics. And I think that is the reason every university would like to see the PLAG report while submission of even the synopsis or the thesis or anything. And even the publishers, they check the plagiarism or similarity report, in fact, to find out whether the same thing has been published elsewhere. So this is the act of presenting someone else's work or ideas as your own. Some document is there, I publish the same document with under my name again. Now this is called plagiarism. Not acknowledging other writers when using their data, tables, figures, etc. So that means we have to cite the person whose data, table, figure, or any other idea we are using in our research work, or even inadequately paraphrasing a source. So the appropriation of another person's ideas, processes, results, or words without citing properly is called plagiarism. Now, another sin is called slummy slicing. Slummy slicing is that you break up, say, for example, you have carried out a particular study and you have noted down the results and other things, and then you see that it's too large for publishing. So what you normally do is you break up that study into a number of pieces. So it is called slummy slicing, and you get them published separately as a second or third or fourth paper. So the author breakups are large. This happens in case of our PhD thesis also. When we write the PhD thesis and we try to make out, say, 5, 6, 7, 8 papers out of that same thesis, with the same population, same methodology being used, same objectives, etc. So author breaks up a large study into 2 or more smaller study papers, and each paper is divided into slices to increase the publication count. Otherwise, it would have been the single publication, but since we have made the slices as separate papers, our publication count will increase. You get more recognition to achieve faster career progression. If we make, say, 5 papers out of a single study, and we'll say that, okay, I have written 5, I published 5 papers. So for career progression also, and you may do it for saving more funds, but actually it is not allowed. Now, the reasons for scientific misconduct, whether it is fabrication, whether it is falsification, whether it is slummy slicing, plagiarism, etc. What are the reasons? First is academic and career pressure. For your promotions, you are required to have some papers published. So what people normally do is they'll go for scientific misconduct instead of writing good papers, etc., scholarly papers, etc. They'll just cut down a number of papers out of one and then publish them as slummy slicing. Or the same may be sent to other publishers also. So there may be publication pressure. If your peer is publishing 10 papers, you would also like to publish 15 papers. So this is publication and peer pressure, in fact. Personal desire for fame. If I say I've published 100 papers and my colleagues or my students have published, say, 10, 20 papers, I feel I'm famous. So this is a personal desire for fame. So personal desire for fame may be there, but it has to be done ethically. Publication pressure may be there, it has to be done ethically. Same as the academic or career pressure, it has to be done ethically. For financial gain, for example, if I have to get some funds from any agency or any institution, I tell them that I have so much of work which have been published in different formats, etc. And I'm good enough in carrying out the research work. So kindly give me this finances and so that I can carry out another research. So what they will, that institute will see is that will see the number of your papers published, but they will not actually go into such details initially. But later on, they may find out where that misconduct has been done in this case, and you were not good for it. So you have to avoid all this. Inability to differentiate between right or wrong. Unknowingly, I do not know what is right and what is wrong, so I do the scientific misconduct. So what are the effects of scientific misconduct. If I plagiarize, if I fabricate the data, if I falsify the data, or what would be the effect? It is harmful because it will only increase the number of my publications rather than the quality of the publication. And in fact, if you have the qualitative publication, you will get more citations. Number of publications will not fetch you the citation. I'm sorry.
Basam Raja, please.
Thank you. It leads to self-plagiarism. Self-plagiarism means I have published one paper and I'm citing that paper number of times. So it leads to self-plagiarism, and it leads to wastage of time of peer reviews also, because they'll have to check again and again the same thing. And it is unethical means of career progression. Now, what we have to keep in mind is we have to protect our reputation. And I'll just show the author, Elsewhere's author services. It informs you as to what research fraud is, what is falsification, fabrication, etc., and what we have to avoid. So this we have to see. Just a minute. Then UGC promotion of academic integrity by UGC also is given. Page 6 onward, it informs you as to what is academic integrity, author, commission, and all those, and what is plagiarism, program, researcher, etc., and what we have to avoid. Then public notice for academic integrity. This is the public notice which was given in 2019 by the UGC, and it informs you as to where you have to publish, what you have to keep in mind, etc. Now, once you have carried out the research, once you have prepared your manuscript, the next stage comes is the publication stage. Now, the most important question is that whatever manuscript you have, where to publish that manuscript. Now, it may be in the form of journal, it may be in the form of books, edited books by, say, reputed publishers like Sage, Oxford, etc. It could be the books and edited books or journals by, say, associations, societies, UNESCO, and others, or it may be in the form of open access publication. Now, the publication process is, first question which comes to our mind is if we have to publish that paper in a journal, we have to find out a suitable journal which may publish our paper and which could be of use to us, which will fetch us good citation scores. So check the author guidelines about the font, about the citation style, any APC, etc., or is it immediately available via open access, etc. By checking all these things, we have to finally prepare our manuscript. So we have to decide whether we have to send it into the printed version or online version, and open access, which are free and without any barriers. And choose journal as per the goal, scope, and taste of the reader and ranking of their impact factor. It is not that whatever I have written, I may send it to any journal. I have to find out whether it will fit into the scope or the goal of that particular journal or not, whether it would be relished by the readers, and see the journal ranking. If it will has good impact factor, then only send your good research papers in that. And in order to find out the goals and scope, we can even go through the past issues to know whether our research will fit in its scope or not, whether similar papers have been published in that journal past issue or not. We publish in open access to make it freely or permanently available online, and leading to greater engagement, greater collaboration and dissemination of research, because it will be immediately brought to the notice of the users. Then use journal metrics as a tool to measure the performance and impact of a journal. to find out whether it is worth sending or not. And publishing in a journal included in the right databases, so that your ultimate aim is to get more citations. So your research is cited more if it is included in the right database. Then finding out which journal to select is as important as to find out which one to avoid. Why? Because it is important that if you have see the good journal, you will get more citation, which is your ultimate aim for your career, for your fame, everything. If it is, of course, it is done with ethical practices. With lots of new academic titles which are being produced every year, finding a predatory journal is very difficult. Now, reputable journals, they do provide clear guidelines about their peer review process. They will inform you very clearly whether they will charge the fee, any fee, APC, etc. It may vary considerably in terms of their reputation and ranking, of course. The predatory journals, these are the ones which normally mimic high quality journals, but they are not clear, they don't give clearly about their peer review process. They will not let you know as to what is the fee which they will take. Even their editorial boards, uh, most of the time are fake, and they do give wrong information about indexing, that their journal is indexed in, say, Scopus, etc. Now, deciding about the quality of the journal, we have to say no to the predatory journals. No publication is to be sent to the predatory journals, and consider those journals which are included in an indexing and abstracting databases, including Scopus, Web of Science, etc. Or you can check it from Think, Check, and Submit database or the UGC Care list, because that is acceptable for your promotions also. Now, coming to the open access publishing, it's a family of copyright licensing policies under which the authors or copyright owners make their works available publicly, and it's a movement in higher education to increase access to your scholarly research communication, and it's not limited to any subscription or purchase, because it has been seen some number of times that you want to go through it, but it is not go through a particular document, but it is not subscribed. So it is not that. It's a response to the current crisis of scholarly communication. And we do have a number of good open access journals which allow access without any subscription, and there is no barriers of any kind. Published articles are immediately available online for everyone without any payment. Copyright, of course, remains with the author, and most of the AI publishers, major publishers, they do charge APCs, the article processing charges, and I'm sure most of the institutions, they do pay you if you have paid any article processing charges. Like my university, for example, if I want to get my work published in a good journal and that journal charges APC, then my university do pays me back, to reimburse me, but it has to be good publisher, named and famed publisher. Now, support from funding bodies also it gets, and from governmental agencies also. As I said, my institution does it. Now, open access is, of course, compatible with copyright. I'm now not talking about from a different viewpoint from your predatory journals. It's compatible with copyright. It is compatible with peer review, prestige, quality, and indexing. And the studies see that open access literature gets more citations than the subscribed publications, some of the disciplines, because the users don't have access to that. They will cite whatever is available to them. And the quality of OA journals, it also, of course, varies widely. Some OA journals are very good. OA journals included in a major indexing databases like Web of Science or Scopus. And coming to the predatory journals, it's a term which was given by Geoffrey Bial, who was a librarian of the University of Denver. It, of course, operates under the shadow of open access model. They do say that we are open access, And but ultimately you will know that they will charge heavily and number of problems are there. It refers to a publishing business model that includes charging publication fees, tricking people into publishing, and without providing editorial and other publishing service. If you go through their website, you will not find who all are the editors, or even if the names are given, they would be the fake editors, because if you try to search them in the against under their under the website of their institutions, they don't figure there. And tricking of people is like, if say for example, most of you have received phone calls or mails or WhatsApp messages asking you to submit your papers, if it will be published immediately, maybe with a, just a little bit of money, etc. So this is not required, and you should not be trapped into it. They do not have the predatory journals, they do not have the peer review or editing services. They offer a quick turnaround in publishing a manuscript. They say will publish it within say 10 days or week or 15 days. APC is collected from the author primarily is a revenue generating opportunity for them only because it's commercial. And you do get emails, number of them. I think most of us have been getting it, even the phone calls, etc. They have poor grammar in their articles, there are spelling mistakes and punctuations on the websites or in their emails also, which will inform you that it's not a good journal, maybe a predatory journal, and no verifiable contact information. One day, one of my researchers told me that he has submitted a paper to a particular journal and he was not aware of that it's a predatory journal. He paid also the money, but when he tried to contact the publisher as to why the paper has not been published, it was noted that the contact was not verifiable. So this has happened recently, a month back. So there's no verifiable contact information, including the email, the mailing address may also be wrong. It also includes, as I said, fake names on their editorial board. If you try to check them from their institution, you will not be able to locate them. And as far as their characteristics are concerned, they have deceptive advertising regarding rigor peer review. They say we do carry out the peer review because on the top of the site, it will be written peer review journal, whereas it is not a peer review journal. How is it possible that if you submit a manuscript today and within a week it has been done, it has been peer reviewed also, it has been published also? Not possible at all. So it is fake information that they do carry out the peer review process, which in actuality it is not. There's a lack of clarity on author payments until acceptance of articles, because sometimes you do not know how much is to be paid by you ultimately. And they will ask you to publish more and more articles because they will get more and more money. It's the commercial business. So very large and diversified catalog of journals, they will show you that we publish so many, like every one publisher will publish on every subject, whether it is sciences, social sciences, whatever. Whereas in actuality, it is not possible for any publisher to publish good quality journals in all the areas. So high frequency publishing leading to more issue. If they have more number of papers, obviously they'll bring out more issues. And there's an unknown editorial board members, I've already said, and no response to emails once the author fee is submitted. This is what happened with my researcher, that once the fee was paid, there was no response from the other side to this person. Then it misrepresenting scientists as reviewers and editors. I've already told you. Fake impact factors. They will say that our impact factor, journal impact factor is this much. Whereas it is normally seen that in case of social sciences, journal impact factor is very less. They will say our journal impact factor is 15, 20, which is possible only in case of scientific journals. So false claims that journals are indexed in literature databases, but actually when you go through the literature databases, you do not find the journals in that, those predatory journals, I mean. Misleading journal titles similar to that of the well-known prestigious journal. What they will do is they will cut down the initial article, except the word and, they will do something else, of, they'll convert to, etc. But the rest of the words would be the same to that of the prestigious journals. So misleading journal titles. It may be that if something was in caps, they will just change the font, etc. So this is what has been happening in case of the predatory journals. Now coming to the cloned or hijacked journals, also we have these days, just like your sheep. So these are commonly known as hijacked journals. How will you identify these hijacked journals where you are not to submit your manuscript as they have their fake websites? They use, the fake websites of the legitimate journals, good journals. They will use their websites with some variation here and there. They will use their title, they use their ISSN and similar other information in violation of the legitimate owner's intellectual property. And UGC has given the list of the cloned journals which is to be avoided as far as our research work is concerned. I hope it opens up. Most of you might have gone through this list also. The network is taking long. I'll skip this. Sorry. So how to identify the cloned or predatory journals is, first you check the journal's website. It is actually the original one, the good reputed journal or not. They find out who the editors are as far as the editorial board is concerned. Try to go through the peer review process. That is how the peer review would be done if you send your manuscript to that journal. Find out or go through the content of the earlier issues of those cloned or predatory journals. Find out how much you have to pay if you want to get your paper published in those cloned or predatory journals. Check submission, indexing, and the impact factor, and talk to your colleagues or peers about that journal, who will inform you that it's maybe a clone journal, it may be a predatory journal. Even the reviews, when you go through them, may also indicate about its cloned nature or predatory nature. Evaluate their publication ethics, like see, every good journal will give you clear author guidelines, but whereas cloned or predatory journals, they will not talk about that. In whatever format you give, they will accept it. So read their copyright policies and retracting articles if they have been retracted with serious issues, etc. If you find any of these in that journal, please do not submit your manuscript to such journals. Now, Directory of Open Access Journal is a unique and extensive index of diverse open access journals from around the world, which is driven by a growing community, and they ensure quality content and is available online free for everyone. This will inform you as to what are the open access journals, what is their scope, etc., where you can send your manuscript for publication. And journals which are included in DOHA, they do use peer review and editorial quality control. If they feel that it is properly editorial quality is there, that is done, the control is done properly, then only they will include it in DOHA. Now, this is it, that it includes journals in more than 80 languages, which are published from 135 countries. And without the APC charges, there are more than 13,000 journals. Total number of journals is more than 20,000, and the total record is all clear in front of you. You can find out the journal, you can search in all fields by subject, etc. So good academic research practice. This is given by UGC. What you have to keep in mind, and I think most of you have might have gone through it. It informs you as to if you have to write a scholarly publication. What all is to be done, that is how you have to give the research design, conduct your research, disseminate, institutional repositories, management, research program management, form of IRs, etc. is there. So this will inform you about all the details of the practices which you must keep in mind for good academic research. Now, think, check, and submit. As I told you that if you have a manuscript, the most important problem is to find out about a good journal where you can submit and which you feel may be able to publish your work if it falls into the scope or goal of that. So what is think, check, and submit? It is it's identify trusted publishers for your research work. It will inform you about the books and chapters. If you have to publish, where you can publish. In case of journal articles, where you have to, what you have to think while submitting, what you have to check about the journal or book, and then ultimately the submission. So decision about the journal, this is a screenshot of this think, check, and submit only. That is, if you're submitting your research to a trusted journal, find out is it the right journal, with more number of such publications, such papers published in it, and they inform you about the new publishers which are launched every year, etc. And then there's a UGC approved journal list, UGC care list. If you publish any of your paper in this UGC care list, it is accepted for your promotions. I'm sorry, due to the network issue, I'm not able to open a number of the sites, especially the UGC one. I'll leave it. So I think number of you might have, I have taken the screenshots also in case it is not. So you can search it by title, you can search it by ISSN, you can search it by subject or the publisher. And in case of, if you want to search it by library science, by the library, total number of journals as per sciences, social sciences, etc. In terms of library, it shows that 20 journals are there, where you can send a list. And for example, this is a screenshot of SRCLibrary bulletin, and it does inform you that it is covered in UGC care list from September 2009 to present. That means if you have published a paper before September 2019, that is say January 2019, then it will not be considered. So whenever you have to submit your application for promotion, you are always asked to give the proof that this is covered in the UGC care list. And in case of social sciences, it shows the total number of journals. Then it's the same thing. And then we have the journal citation report by Clarivate journal citation report, we can see. And coming to the publication stage now. This is, then we must submit our work. I'm sorry, how much time do I have now?
Ma'am, till 12 noon.
It's still?
Till 12 noon, ma'am.
Ma'am, 12:15.
12.
Okay. I do have time then. Okay. Once you have carried out the research, you have written the manuscript, you have decided about where you have to send the publication, next stage comes up, it's submission of your work. So once a journal has been selected, prepare the article as per the journal's specific formatting requirement, because every journal may have different formatting style required for inclusion of a manuscript in the form of tables, figures, any supplementary material, etc. So you have to convert it according to their specific requirements. And most of the journals, they require the authors to register for a portal on their website and submit it also through that only. And of course, you have to inform who's the corresponding author. Then checking of the author's guidelines, as I said earlier also, it is important, which will inform you as to how you have to submit the manuscript, in what format you have to submit, etc. For example, it's a journal called Collection and Curation. This is the author's guidelines. So before you start any thing, and your author's responsibility, respond swiftly to any queries, be accountable, what you have to include, what you have to exclude, etc., etc. So these author guidelines are required, which will inform you as to what and how you have to submit your manuscript. Similarly, SAGE has also given the guidelines. So this is submitting your research to SAGE. So after going through these guidelines only, you should submit your paper. Now, while submitting the manuscript, note that the research ethics have been adhered to. That means there's no falsification, fabrication, etc. And no research misconduct has been done intentionally. I again repeat intentionally, because I said unintentionally it may happen, but ultimately you'll have to say sorry later on. So unintentionally, otherwise be ready to face the consequences of academic dishonesty. I'll be talking of what are the consequences later on. And once the manuscript has been submitted in an acceptable format to whichever publisher has said in whatever format, then we have to wait for the editor's decision. Now, we have submitted our paper to one journal, say, for example. There are people who submit the same paper to a number of journals simultaneously. Now, whether it should be done or not. When authors submit the same work, it may be in different languages also, to more than one journal simultaneously without bringing it to the notice of both the editors of both the journals, it is called duplicate submission. I have submitted it to two journals, and both the editors are unaware that I have submitted it at two places. So in case it is being submitted, in case, a formal notification of withdrawal must be sought from the editor of the first journal, because otherwise it may be published in both the journals. Then it would be difficult to withdraw. So you have to inform them, and if it is published at one place, you have to withdraw it from the second place. And you have to bring it to the notice of this editor of the second journal that you are withdrawing it on the basis of this issue. If you want to submit two similar papers to two different journals, it must be brought to the notice of both the editors of all the editors of both the journals. Now, once it has been submitted, what happens? It is the editors of the journals, they carry out firstly the similarity check, because they'll have to see. Mostly the editors assess each case of duplicate or overlapping content or publications using Turnitin and Authenticate, etc., etc. That is, they carry out the similarity check to detect the non-originality of papers. And once it is found, the research papers are rejected. Then duplicate content of the publications may be retracted later on, even after publication. And even if duplicate submission is noted, it may be taken out. So wait for the final decision. There could be three decisions. First is it is accepted. Second is it may be revised. And third is if it is rejected, then you have to find out another journal. Now, in case of the rejection, on the basis of the reviewer's feedback, the editor decides not to accept the manuscript because it may not be falling in the scope of that particular journal. After receiving the rejection, you have to find out another journal in which you can resubmit the paper, or submit the paper in the second one again. Then it will be revision or resubmission. In case they feel that the paper is good, but it needs revision, then the editor identifies significant issues, then and he feels that still it can be published if you carry out some minor or major, both the revisions. In that case, they will ask you to resubmit after carrying out whatever is required. It may be even the reanalysis of the data also sometimes. Third is acceptance. Once all the reviewers and editors are happy that they are satisfied with their manuscript, then they will send you the acceptance letter. And once the acceptance letter is sent, you are not sometimes required to prepare additional files and prepare the final draft in some other specific format for publication. It may be different from the format in which you had sent it earlier. You may need to also sign the copyright form because you are liable for whatever information, the content you have given. Coming to the post-publication stage. Even if the paper, the article has been published, later on, if you are found to be academic dishonest, what are the issues? One is retraction from the journal. Second is you may be dismissed from the faculty. Third is your research grants may be rejected later on even. Or fourth is the publishers may blacklist you. That is, they may not include your articles in future. Now, coming to the role of higher educational institutions in this, for example, I'll take one from outside one, University of Waterloo. On the website itself, it informs you as to, this is the site of the Office of the Academic Integrity. It will inform the students what is to be kept in mind, the teaching assistant or instructors, what they have to keep in mind, and the staff also, what they have to keep in mind while following the academic integrity rules. Okay, so all the institutions, they do have the University of Buffalo, for example, Imperial College in case of UGC. If it opens up, I would like to show. So this is the academic integrity and research quality. And after going through this piece of information, you can find out as to what we have to avoid and what we have to keep in mind. I'll just go through the table of contents. First is what is the academic integrity and research quality, and the second is the philosophy of ethics, etc., etc. So it basically informs you about what you have to keep in mind while doing the academic work with integrity. Similarly, for AICTE, also I'll not open to it up because of the time. Then, as I said, once it is noted down that your paper is academically dishonest, although it has been published, it may be retracted. So you have to think twice before doing any such sin. So in academic publishing, retracted articles are sometimes not removed from the published literature. But because if it is published, you cannot do anything, but these are marked as retracted as seen in the first picture. Retracted for serious flaws to the extent that the results and conclusions can no longer be relied upon. That they say that please don't go through these documents, don't use the data, etc., or the results, etc., which are given in this paper because this has been retracted. It is not academically done honestly. In some of the cases, it may be removed from the publication if the article is clearly defamatory, it violates personal privacy, or might pose a serious public health issue, say in case of the medical sciences. This from the Retraction Watch database, I have taken some of the screenshots which inform you as to how many papers have been retracted. And recently it has been noticed there's an upsurge of retracted papers from India also. Of course, these are more in case of sciences and engineering, but otherwise it's going up. The graph is going up. So it says this is of September 24 only, 1 in 7 scientific papers is fake. And it's this study that author calls widely non-systematic. So it says if there are 7 papers, scientific papers are published, 1 is fake. So 6 only are good enough. And from February 24, dean of one of the dean was accused of plagiarism in NSF report. It's very, I mean, we can't digest this much, that NSF report and that too plagiarized. And from February 24, Saudi University dean has 20 retractions in 2 years. Just imagine. what your fame would be when your 20 papers within 2 years are retracted back. In fact, I remember that it first happened in case of the Bell Industries, where the research was found to be fake long back, and most of the papers were retracted. And Bell Industries themselves, they started this initiative, and most of the papers were retracted back. So chemist in India, this is the case of India now, May 23, he loses 7 papers, and it blames outsourcing of images. That means the images were used from some other sources. And for that matter, I remember we were going through, one of my researcher was carrying out a research on a particular topic. And before the submission, she submitted, I think, in August. And before the submission of the thesis, we came across something on NClubNet site that showed Ganga that a similar thesis has been given, awarded the degree. And when we went deep into that thesis, we noticed that the topic is same. The questionnaire was ours, our questionnaire, which was circulated long back. She has used one part of our questionnaire as it is. Something which was in tabular form was given in text form. What was in text form, she only changed it to the tabular form. Then the diagrams were taken from some other thesis with a similar nature. So this is all wrong. If the same, that person tries to publish papers out of that thesis, obviously it will be retracted later on because it will come to the notice of other people. Now, why we carry out the scholarly communication work is ultimately, as I said, we want to find out what the citations are. We want to be famous that, see, we have done such a good research work. We want to be visible to our peers, etc. So how will you show your visibility? My ORCID account, with one INS, then academic social networking sites, or even blogs, Facebooks, etc. And I think instead of opening, I'll just show you these ORCID. I hope most of you may be having your ORCID account, because a single account information, which if you add it, everything will come immediately. So this is, in my case, my ORCID account. With one is the expert database account of by UGC. That is, if you can search it by the subject categories. And this is mine, which informs you as to how much I have written and all that. As far as the Scopus is concerned, it shows my recent account, and for Google Scholar also, with the total citations, etc. So whatever we have talked till now, for the last more than 1 hour, we have been talking about the publication, scholarly publication, and we have talked about what we should do and what we should avoid, some do's and don'ts. So in a nutshell, we know that we create something after carrying out the research. We evaluate the academic works on that similar topic. Then we publish our research, which is ultimately disseminated and is available for access through the libraries, retailers, etc., to other users. And the copies of these are preserved for future use, and ultimately other users cite our work, that is, they reuse the work. So the first is researcher finds something new. Then researcher writes about the new findings and sends it to the journal. Editorial office will process the article and assign to editor. Then editor will handle through the reviewers. Reviewers' feedback will be sent to the author for in case of the major revision, etc., or acceptance, etc. Then author will revise the article. It will be notified to the editor and reviewer. Peer reviewers will read the article, provide the feedback. And if the article meets the editorial standard, it is published for the future use of the users. So this is the entire publication cycle. And we have talked about what we have to keep in mind. And why we have talked about this is because ultimately happiness is when you see your name in print. When I see my name in print, I feel very happy that, okay, I have done some good work. And specifically in case of academia, academic success depends on our research and publications, because whenever we apply for our promotions, etc., every time it is asked what research work you have carried out and how many publications and what publication ultimately are there under your name. So you get what you give. If you are dishonest, your paper would be retracted ultimately. If you are honest, you will get fame. And once you see your name in print, you get the good field factor. With these words, I stop my presentation and I'm over. If you have any questions, etc., you can ask me, please. I'll just stop sharing. Thank you, everyone, for the nice messages.
Good afternoon. I think it comes
Good
good afternoon, madam.
Good
Thank you,
afternoon.
madam. Thank you. You clearly explained scholarly communications.
I've
have
tried
only-
my level best to be very, very simple.
I want to request you to relate to the care list. Today I saw the particular journal is available in the care list. I submitted my article, and 1 or 2 3 months it comes under the cloned journal. As a senior professor, if you have a opportunity to give solution to the UGC, any journals comes under the care list, it will minimum 3 to 5 years. It will available, it will listed into minimum 3 to 5 years. If you have opportunity, please suggest to the authorities of the care list.
Sure, I'll do. Thank you. I'll certainly do.
Dr. Ganesh. Dr. Ganesh, do you have any query?
No, it's not like this. No, it's not like that, you see.
Anybody having any query?
Thank you, ma'am, for your nice presentation.
Thank you.
Here from Vijay Jadhav from Maharashtra. Is it scholarly communication include only publishing peer review articles in journals or any other platform?
No, you can do it on blog also. I said tweeting and all that is also scholarly. Because these days, these are more important and more popular also. But as far as your promotions are concerned, your blog will not be considered by the institution. It will be only in the form of journal article.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am. This is Kohila.
Good
I have
afternoon, Kohila.
explained about the do's and don'ts of that scholarly communication. Can I have some more idea about fabrication of data?
Fabrication, this is very popular in case of especially the medical sciences. Number of papers have been retracted from the medical sciences because the data was fabricated. They said that we have maintained so many diaries of the patients, etc., which it was not. Say the 10 patients were only studied and it showed 100 patients were studied. So that data was fabricated and falsified also. So we have to avoid that. It is normally it is not that much possible in science, social sciences, but sciences, number of people have been seen, especially in physics, chemistry. In case of chemistry, falsification has been observed a lot. And when you go through the retraction watch database, you will notice how much material, or the research papers have been retracted.
Thank you.
Ma'am, I have an query. Is there any difference between misinformation and false information? That is a fabrication.
Yes, that No, misinformation is not fabrication.
Can you little bit explain about it in detail?
Fake information and misinformation, that's a different topic. So I think it will take more time to differentiate between the two. And I'm not a good person to differentiate between the two, but of course, it is not fabrication.
Thank you, ma'am.
Madam, once again, I'm Victor from Tamil Nadu.
Yeah.
Regarding the publications, it is not possible to publish care list. If I have articles, can I publish in the open access journals? It will increase my
Those
H-index.
should not be predatory or clones.
Okay, madam.
That's what I said. Go through the site, check up about its peer review process, check up about the editorial people, and then only submit. It's better to publish in those journals which are included in good indexing and abstracting databases. Otherwise, it would be of no use to the users. You want to publish just to get citations, don't you?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
And if it is to be included for your promotions, etc.
Yes,
So
madam. Yes, madam.
send it to the good journals which are included and say Scopus, Web of Science, etc.
Nowadays, it is not easy to publish in the care list science.
No, it is not difficult either. It is not difficult either. If you start thinking it is difficult, it will be difficult. If you stop thinking it is difficult, it will not be difficult at all.
Madam, difficult means it takes more number of times. That only.
Of course, only the predatory journal will publish it immediately. See, why LPP was removed from Scopus was that during the COVID period, it published a number of papers without the proper peer review process. That is why it was taken out of the Scopus immediately. So you have to see what is the peer review process, how much time, and if it is a good peer reviewed journal, it will take a lot of time because it has to be sent to at least 2 reviewers. And reviewers are not free to immediately do this reviewing process and send you back. So it will obviously take some time. Then we send our papers, we keep on waiting for months together. Maybe 2 years also I've waited for one of my paper to be published. So
I think library progress is available in the care list, madam, nowadays.
which one?
Library progress, it comes under the care list nowadays.
I think it is. I'm not very sure about that journal. You're talking about Library Progress International, I hope.
Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
Delhi, published from Delhi.
Yes, madam.
It may be, I'm not aware of it. I've not seen it.
Good afternoon.
Any query from anyone?
Someone wants to.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah,
Ms. Ghosh.
to hear you properly. Yeah, sure. Fine.
Yeah, good afternoon, ma'am. I have one query. Is publishing in conference proceedings be considered as scholarly communication?
Oh, that's a tough
Or
question to answer. See, scholarly communication is not from the point of view of where you publish. It is the process through which you publish, what you write and what you have included in that paper. And then as far as the conference proceedings are concerned, most of them don't go through the peer review process. So as for me, I'm concerned, I don't think it is scholarly, but of course, for your promotions, etc., these are considered to be scholarly.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anything
Master,
else? Professor? Yeah.
Yes, Vijay. Dr. Vijay.
no, sir.
I think no query. So I should thank thank you, madam, for your patience and definitely handling all the queries and
Thank you, Mas.
giving so much of time, that too in all odd situations. I know it is really disturbing when your net is not working and then you have to get connected to Wi-Fi and then you
And
with a new device.
Two staff members disturbed you also in between.
Yes.
I'm really sorry because, as I said, I'm not sitting in my room.
Right.
It was open.
No issue. That is little not so bothering.
First time the peon came, second time my driver came.
Yes. No, but that was not bothering for us. That it was okay, normal.
Yeah.
And either normally what this kind of disturbance, more than this kind of disturbance we are getting from the audience. So let me thank Professor Preeti Mahajan on behalf of the department, on behalf of the HRDC, on behalf of the participants. I'm really thankful to you, ma'am, for sparing time and sharing your experience and expertise with us. So hope we'll again invite you whenever time comes, and we all were benefited by your expertise and experience. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Professor Razai. Thank the university. Thank the library for inviting me here.
Thank you once again.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sir,
Thank you, ma'am.
Sir, if you're listening to me, you can close the meeting.
काय वेळ कोणी जाऊन साहेब कोक जाऊन ऑफिस माझं करतो जाणं केलं मला तिकडे बोलवलं करत झालं पावलं एखाद्या आपण जायचं जास्त हाँ सरे थी सब मटेरियल दगा थोड़ा सा ठीक है मंदिरों कपड़े हम खाने को नहीं मैं बाहर हूँ लायब्ररीचे शपथ. आणि आता काय करायचं?
आता म्हणजे काय जायचं का? नाही
कोणतं
नगर म्हणजे
तुझं की माहेरचं सासरचं? माहेर आहे सासर नगरच आहे. नगर जिल्ह्यात कोणतं?
नगर जिल्हा